Would you date Professor Oak or Drayden? Today we're going to be talking about the DILFs of Pokemon and which of your favorite DILFs I would date. You know, the DILFs that I think would be a fun lay, the DILFs that I think would treat you right, and the DILFs that I think are just downright creepy. In case you are unfamiliar, I do have similar videos on this subject which you can find on tiktok.com/@mylifesting, but some of my opinions on some of these DILFs have changed, so it's not going to be a total rehashing, #growth. But you might be wondering, Olive, what makes you qualified to start this conversation? Well, about 95% of my friends are over the age of 40. I am quite honestly a weird gay kid. And my boyfriend is 45 years old. And in case you're wondering, yes, I do have daddy issues. So let's get started by talking about the tiers. The tiers that we are working with today are Daddy. Now this means that I would 100% date this DILF, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like he's paying for dinner, he's paying for our vacations, and he's paying for something else, if you know what I mean. I can honestly see myself dating this man. I think he would be a great long-term boyfriend. FWB, now not to discredit his serve or anything, but I don't necessarily see myself dating this man. And you know, there could be a multitude of reasons as to why, but I can see myself having a good time with this man. I think he would be a fun lay. Situationship is okay, you know, he could be a daddy, he could be an FWB. We are in the talking stages at the very least, but I can see myself going out with this man for a few months at the very least. I think if I'm looking for something non-committal, I think this would be the category that I would look at. One night stand is, well, like if I were to see him at the bar and if the vibes are cute, then sure, maybe I would go home with him, but I'm perfectly content with not seeing that man again for the rest of my life, okay? Friend zone means he's not really my cup of tea. Maybe he's your cup of tea. I think he could be a really great friend. And then block means, honey, not my type. If I were to see you on Grindr, it is on site. I don't think there's any consideration. Next chapter, next novel. Moving on. As you can see, we have a lot of daddies to talk about, so let's not waste any more time. First, we have the OG daddy, Professor Oak. I view Professor Oak more as like my grandpa, if anything, you know what I mean? I think Professor Oak is cute. I think he's adorable. I think he's charming. But the thing is, I kind of view him more as like my grandpa. So I feel like that would be kind of weird. So I think I'm gonna put Professor Oak in friend zone, okay? Lieutenant Surge is someone that I've always kind of had an attraction towards, right? Like, you know those blonde twinks that you would see on photographs in like the 80s and the 90s? I feel like Lieutenant Surge was one of those blonde twinks, right? And like he has the body to do that, you know what I mean? Lieutenant Surge is a circuit queen, like, you know, like this is a man who's popular in circuit parties. This is a man who's popular in bathhouses. Like he strikes me as like a mask bottom, you know what I mean? Lieutenant Surge strikes me as a man who stays at gay bars until closing time, right? Like, you know those men who stay at the bars until closing time and then they kind of like look for guys to kind of take home with them. I feel like Lieutenant Surge is one of those guys. I think I would put Lieutenant Surge in FWB. I don't know. I just don't feel like he's serious for a relationship. Blaine is okay. It's kind of funny because I've been with my fair share of older men who look exactly like Blaine, you know, like the bald head, like the facial hair, you know what I mean? I can't get into his personality. I feel like he is way too high energy for me. I would probably put Blaine in one night stand. I feel like he kind of would be a fun lay. No, I lied. I'm putting him in block. Because now that I'm like processing it, I don't think I would want to deal with that. So Koga is a community top. Can we just get that out of the way? I can see, I'm picturing in my mind, I can see Koga at like a gay bar buying a drink for a younger gay man in hopes that he would go home with Koga. You know what I mean? Koga would definitely be at those pride festivals, like wearing like those fishnet shirts. He strikes me as a man who would definitely want to show off his body. He would definitely be someone that would ask to be in an open relationship. More power to you if that is your thing, right? I think I would have a one-night stand with Koga. Like he would seem kind of fun, but I don't think I could really pursue anything more with Koga. Giovanni, honey. He's a gang leader, so you know he has money. Like, he strikes me as the type of man who would spoil you. And you know that picture of him shirtless in the anime? Now get into that tea. But from what we know about Giovanni, he is not a good person. I feel like if you were to want to break up with Giovanni, I feel like he would be a manipulator. Like, I don't know, I feel like he would kind of like gaslight you in that kind of way. I think despite that, I would put him in daddy. Koga is kind of one-dimensional in my opinion. Like, he's a muscle gay, but I feel like that's kind of his whole personality. Like, you know those types of muscle gays who make going to the gym their entire personality? That kind of makes them one-dimensional in my opinion, and that's kind of what I'm getting from Koga. Like, I can read his Grindr profile right now, and it is saying no fats, no femmes, mask for mask. So I can tell that I am not exactly Koga's type, so I am going to put him in block. Now, Chuck is kind of interesting because he's kind of reheating Bruno's nachos.
And if I wanted a sugar daddy, yes, I probably could go out and get one because I am what? Sickening. You could never have a sugar daddy because you are not that kind of girl. Baby, everything I've had, I've worked for and I've gotten myself. I built myself from the ground up. Hey, no.
Because Bruno, shirtless fighting type user. Chuck, shirtless fighting type user. But I think what kind of makes Chuck stand out is he's not exactly like muscle, you know? Like, he's kind of a bear. Like, he's kind of a muscle bear. I just know he knows all of the great restaurant spots. You know, like, he definitely has personality. I think I would date Chuck, actually. I think I would. I'm gonna put him in daddy. Yeah. Let me marinate with that. Let me munch and chew on that for a second. Pryce is a chill guy. I think Pryce looks very stylish. He is definitely a fashion gay. Like, I can see myself dating Pryce for like a few months, maybe kind of just like see where things are, you know what I mean? I don't picture him as a long-time boyfriend, so I think I'll put him in situationship, right? Like, yeah, I think Pryce deserves to be in situationship. I think I would have a good time for a few months, but I feel like I would kind of just get bored. I have ruined a lot of people's attraction for Professor Birch because I said that he looks like John Tron. If I have to see it, so do you. Because of that, I think that knocks Professor Birch down by a lot. Professor Birch is your typical bear, and we do love bears around here. It's John Tron. It's John Tron that's really making me hesitant. I think I would block Professor Birch, to be honest with you. No, I lied. I'll be his friend. I'll be his friend. So my last ex's name was also Norman, and if you're wondering, yes, he was over 50. I don't think Norman is a good dad. I don't know. He's not a good husband. I know that because he puts his work over his family in the games, right? So I think I would block Norman, to be honest with you. Owen was really spoiling us because we have a lot of different men that would fit in different categories within the queer community, right? Wattson is another bear representation. I have slept with my fair share of men who look like Wattson too. Like, he's so jolly, he's full of whimsy, he's full of joy. I feel like he would be a great person to party with, okay? I think I would... Yeah, this makes sense. I would date Wattson, so I'm gonna put him in daddy. Watt and I can bump purses, okay? I don't care. It's really criminal that we haven't seen Juan since Black and White 2. Like, the man is a diva, like, you know? His outfit's iconic. He's kind of giving drag king in a way too. This is a man who knows all of the gay bartenders. This is a man who knows all of the owners of the gay bars, right? This is a man who doesn't have to pay cover charges, right? Because he's very friendly with all the bartenders. He tips at least like 25-30%, right? Like, he's friendly, you know, like, he's very well known and respected within the gay community. especially among the older gay men, right? So I think I would date Juan. I would put him in daddy as well. Sidney's kind of forgettable in my opinion. I don't really have much of an attraction towards Sidney. I always kind of viewed him as like your bad boy. I can see him spending a lot of time in the casino. I think that's kind of his character as well. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can see him spending a lot of his time at the casino. You know, he might not be so lucky, but he'll get like a huge payout every once in a while. But he might not be so lucky. And like that might be cute for someone in their 20s, you know, someone around my age. But when you're someone who's pushing 40, 50, it's kind of not cute. So I'm going to put Sidney in block. I love Drake's confidence. He has the confidence to only rock a coat, right? To kind of show off his body as well. This is what I mean when I talk about the Hoenn men fitting in different categories within the queer community, because Drake is a leather daddy. Like I can see Drake pulling off a leather harness, leather chaps. Like this is a man who is very much involved within the leather community. Drake would be a fun lay, let me tell you. I'm just kind of thinking, because I'm kind of like picturing myself like with Drake, what kind of relationship that would be. I don't know, I think I would put Drake in FWB. I would be very much interested in seeing how that would play out. Okay, I rearranged the pairings here because I feel like when you talk about Archie, I feel like you also have to talk about Maxie. I mean, this is like your typical gay couple, right? Archie is definitely the community top, right? Let's just get that out of the way. Archie is very much into BDSM, right? He has always given off Dom Daddy vibes in every iteration that he's in, right? Archie is definitely a leather daddy, right? Like I can see this man going to the bathhouses every weekend. Like he is a regular at those bathhouses. He's a regular at the gay bars as well. Like I can see a bunch of younger twinks, you know, just wanting to be with Archie, wanting to be around Archie. Like he would definitely be popular among younger gay men, right? I just know the polycule goes crazy. Archie was definitely the one to ask to be in an open relationship. And while Maxie is not really into being in an open relationship, he's still like along for the ride, you know what I mean? Maxie is your typical suburban gay. Like, you know, him and Archie live in like those 3,000 square foot mansions in like those suburban areas, right? I've been around men like Maxie, and it's not really a turn on when they act so entitled, when they act so elitist. I think Maxie would definitely be mean to like a retail worker or someone in the food industry. I feel like Archie would be a fun lay. I'm putting Maxie in block. I'll put Oras Archie in one night stand. I'm gonna put Oras Maxie in block too. They're definitely the type of couple who only play together, yet Archie plays with other men behind Maxie's back, right? That's some drama. That's some drama that I kind of don't want to get into as well. So Brandon is very much someone who's into history. Like he's definitely someone who works in education. I feel like Brandon is a wise gay, you know? I'm kind of getting the impression of Brandon like traveling the world. Brandon strikes me as someone who is very knowledgeable. I feel like he would definitely be the type of guy who would work in education, like as a college professor, you know what I mean? I have to imagine myself like at a gay bar running into like these men, right? I feel like Brandon is someone who kind of like keeps to himself, someone who doesn't really like the spotlight. He strikes me as someone who's not really much into the bar culture, someone who's not really into the clubbing culture, you know what I mean? But what does he do in his free time? Well, I feel like he's definitely someone who likes to go out to restaurants, someone who likes to try out different kinds of cuisine, right? Do I see myself dating Brandon though? I'm picturing it, right? I think I would date Brandon. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I would date Brandon. So I'm gonna put him in daddy. Noland. I honestly forgot he existed until just now. Noland definitely has that rugged look. You know, like he is a rugged daddy, right? Compared to Brandon, Noland is definitely someone who is into the bar culture, who is into the clubbing culture, right? I can see Noland buying a drink for a younger man in hopes that he would sleep with him, right? I think I would put Noland in FWB. I can see myself having a good time. I feel like he would be a fun lay. Spenser is someone who was at Stonewall, right? He is also a fashion gay. You know, he has the blue tops mixed with the orange bottoms. Like, this is a man who knows his color theory, right? This is a man who is a fashion gay, like I said. He strikes me as someone who's very wise, who's very knowledgeable, right? I think I would date Spenser, actually. So I'm gonna put him in daddy as well. I'm looking at this tier list, right? And I think this is a very interesting conversation that we are having right now. But I gotta like really feel the placement of some of these characters. I'm looking at this, and the difference between FWB and situationship is that FWB would require me to have some sort of relationship. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm gonna move Noland to situationship because I'm kind of picturing it. I kind of don't think Noland and I would be that compatible. This feels right. Okay, we can move on now. Professor Rowan is 60 years old, right? So when I was single, I used to have a cutoff age of 60 years old, right? Like that was my maximum age limit. So Professor Rowan is kind of pushing it just a little bit. You know, in the games, he's very much portrayed as like someone who's very strict, someone who's very stern, kind of no nonsense kind of attitude, right? I don't think I would date a man who has that kind of personality, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I like to have fun. I'm gonna put Professor Rowan in friend zone. I feel like I could have a bunch of great conversations with Professor Rowan, but nothing more. Crasher Wake is kind of a diva, you know what I mean? Crasher Wake strikes me as like a leather daddy, like those kinds of daddies that you would see in all leather at those gay bars, you know what I mean? Wrestling is his whole gimmick, right? But wrestling is all about performance. It's all about pizzazz. So for the girls like you or me, it's kind of like RuPaul's Drag Race, right? Yeah. So I say that to say that I feel like Crasher Wake definitely knows a thing or two in the bedroom, if you know what I mean. I think he would be such a fun lay, so I'm going to put Crasher Wake in FWB. Byron is your typical blue collar daddy, right? I'm very much into his rugged daddy kind of look, you know? It's kind of doing something for me. You know, with blue collar men, you know they make money, right? And those muscles, honey. I can see younger gay men wanting to like latch onto Byron, right? He would definitely be another daddy that would be popular among the younger gay men. And you know what? It's kind of working for me. So I'm gonna put Byron in daddy as well. I feel like there's definitely a discussion to be had with Karen, and I feel like that's kind of why this discussion happens in the first place, because I definitely have ran into people on TikTok who do find Karen attractive, and that's kind of why I like to have these sort of conversations with you, right? Because even though I might not find Karen attractive, I have definitely met people who do find Karen attractive, who are their tea, right? And that's why it's important to remember that beauty is subjective, right? And I think that's such a beautiful thing, that there is always someone out there for everybody. With that being said, I am blocking Karen. I think he looks slimy. I think he looks gross. Moving on. Canonically, Cyrus is 27 years old. Now, at the time of recording this, I am 25, right? And I say that because my birthday is next week. Cyrus is someone who I don't think I would have a good time with. He's not someone that you would see at the gay clubs or like at the gay bars. No, I think I'm also going to put Cyrus in block. Now, this is interesting. When you compare the Hoenn daddies to the Sinnoh daddies, there is definitely something in the air in Hoenn. There's definitely something in the water. Because you can see a lot of my daddies, all of my FWBs are from Hoenn. So Looker's Japanese name literally translates to handsome. Now, I originally didn't find Looker to be attractive. Once I started to have these types of conversations and do these types of videos, he's kind of warming up to me, you know? He's starting to be my tea, you know? He likes to disguise himself in the games and in the anime as well. So I don't think it would be much of a stretch to say that he might be into roleplay as well. I feel like no matter the situation, you're always going to have a good time with Looker. Like every time you hang out with Looker, it's not going to be the same. It's always going to be a different kind of experience every time. I'm going to put Looker in daddy. I could honestly see myself dating Looker. Just like Blaine, Palmer has such a high energy about him. Like he's always on the go. He is kind of stylish though. though. I'll give you that. He can definitely rock an overcoat, right? I think I'll put Palmer in One Night Stand. I'm very much content with not seeing him ever again. Cedric kind of gives me bottom daddy vibes. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, just FYI. I really don't have a lot to say about Cedric. I just kind of find him forgettable, to be honest with you. I'm going to put him in situationship. I feel like he would be kind of a fun lay, but I don't really see anything more. Like, it doesn't feel right to put him in FWB, and it most certainly does not feel right putting him in daddy. Play is your typical leather daddy, right? Like, I just cannot get over the fact that he's wearing those leather chaps that exposes his private parts, right? Just like Drake, he's definitely your typical leather daddy. Like, I can see him, Thrasher Wake, and Drake wearing these leather outfits, like leather harnesses, leather chaps, but he definitely would be the kind of man that would call you slurs in the bedroom. I don't know, I feel like he would call you the F slur in bed. I feel like that would kind of be his thing, and that's not my thing personally. So I think I'll put Clay in One Night Stand. Brycen is okay, I suppose. Like, he's an actor, so you know they make money, right? I also feel like Brycen would be into roleplay as well. I think I'll put Brycen in One Night Stand. I kind of don't see myself having any sort of connection with Brycen. I'm looking at my picks here, and I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna put Palmer in friend zone. Now, Drayden is a daddy, okay? You see the arms, you see the legs, that man works out. Now, he would be popular amongst the younger gay men, right? Say it with me now. 1, 2, 3, daddy. I love Grimsley's swagger, but me personally, I don't think he's for me. I was never someone who found Grimsley to be attractive, so I'm gonna put Grimsley in friend zone too. Alder is an old gay, like, let's get that out of the way. Alder is definitely an old gay, someone who likes to travel around the world, someone who has money. I'm getting an image of him on a yacht. I feel like he would own such a sickening yacht. He is definitely someone who has FWBs and flings of his own. He's definitely a regular at the gay bars. He is definitely a closing time cruiser. I think I'll give... I feel like Alder would be a fun lay. I definitely do see myself having some sort of connection with him, so I'm going to put Alder in FWB. The Shadow Triad, I just find them to be very creepy, so I'm going to block them. Zinzolin is definitely a cruiser, whether it be like at the gay bars or at the bathhouses. He's definitely a cruiser who's very pushy, someone who doesn't take no for an answer. So I would also block Zinzolin. Now, Ghetsis is kind of interesting because I never realized that there were people who found Ghetsis to be attractive. I think Ghetsis is very creepy. I would honestly stay away from Ghetsis. I don't think I would date Ghetsis, but I feel like the only person who can date Ghetsis is Ghetsis himself, right? So I'm going to block Ghetsis. Professor Sycamore is an attractive man, and he knows it. I feel like Professor Sycamore is definitely someone who knows all of the fancy restaurants. He's definitely a wine connoisseur. I can definitely see him drinking like fancy wine. He strikes me as a goofy professor. He kind of reminds me of the dad from Modern Family.
Please, you're in the hands of the master. I think I know how to pick up a 14-year-old girl for you.
I think I would have a good time with Sycamore. I think I would date Sycamore, so I'm going to put him in daddy. Ramos is cute, Ramos is adorable. I just want to pinch his little cheeks, you know what I mean? I don't really see myself dating Ramos. I'm going to put him in friend zone because I don't see myself pursuing anything beyond that. Wolfric is your typical bear, right? He's definitely the kind of older man who exclusively seeks out younger gay men, right? Strikes me as someone who is only into slim twinks, right? I think I would date Wolfric, so I'm going to put him in Daddy as well. Actually, I lied. FWB, yeah. I feel like Wilkstrom is a fashion gay. Like, I can definitely see him pulling off some really sickening outfits. I think Wilkstrom would be a fun lay, but the question is, do I want to see him again? I think I would see Wilkstrom again, but do I want a connection? Put Wilkstrom in situationship. Let me munch and crunch on that for a second. I've always found Lysander to be a very attractive older man, right? If I were to see him at a bar, I feel like he would be the kind of person who would buy you a drink in hopes of you wanting to sleep with him, right? Like, I'm thinking of high-end drinks like a Johnny Walker or a Remy Martin. What I'm trying to say is he has money, right? I think I would date Lysander, so I'm gonna put him in Daddy. But I don't know, Elle's kind of doing something for me, to be honest. Like, I love the rugged look, the faded hair that he has going on. I feel like that's kind of fun. I'm not interested in the fact that he's going to outlive me, but I would date Elle as well, even though they're technically the same person. So I'm going to put AZ in friend zone. Just like Professor Oak, he also reminds me as my grandpa, right? I think he looks very stylish in his Legend ZA look. So I'm also going to give that one friend zone. Professor Kukui though, honey. I've always thought of Professor Kukui as like an airhead, kind of like a himbo. I feel like every day would be an adventure with Kukui. And his body, ooh. I'm going to put Kukui in Daddy. I think Samson Oak is kind of attractive, but just kinda. Samson Oak kind of looks like a player, to be honest with you. I feel like he's not looking to settle down. I feel like he's not looking for a relationship. I feel like Samson is a community top. Like, is that just me? I feel like he'd be a fun lay, so I'm going to put Samson in situationship. I originally got some flack on my opinion of Hala, and now that I've had some time to hold space for Hala, I can kind of see it, you know? He might not be my cup of tea, he might not be my flavor, but the cup is in front of me, and like, I don't really have a choice but to drink it, you know? I think I'll put Hala in situationship. I love Nanu's swagger, right? And that pose that he's doing, oh honey, this is a diva. I feel like we would have such a great time. I feel like he would definitely be a fun person to go out and have some drinks with. I love going to drag cabarets as well. I feel like Nanu would be such a fun person to go with. So I'm going to put Nanu in FWB. Do people really find Faba attractive? Like, honestly, I think he's kind of slimy, but the pose that he's doing right here, I mean, he's kind of munching, he's kind of nibbling just a tiny bit. I feel like, you know, I mean, he's kind of a diva, you know, because he's like, you know, because he's like this, like, I don't know, we're kind of twinning just a little bit. Just for that alone, I think him and I can bump Persis then. So I am going to put Baba in friend zone. I think Mona's cute. I think he's attractive. I can definitely see myself getting a few drinks with Mon. I think he would be a fun lay. I really do believe he would be a fun lay. I want to put Mon in FWB. I feel like there's kind of an interesting conversation with Kabu. My rating of Kabu was very controversial over on TikTok, but I still stand by that statement, okay? I think Kabu looks like your typical older man, the ones who are like low-key misogynistic. Like, he does strike me as someone who's very much, you know, no fats, no femmes, mask for mask only. Like, I definitely feel like Kabu would fat shame me. I don't know, that's just the impression that I'm getting. I'm going to put Kabu in block, okay? Rose is a manipulator. I used to have a little bit of a fling going on with a man who looked like Rose, and he was a fun lay. I feel like Rose would be a fun lay, but I think Rose would gaslight and manipulate the hell out of you. I kind of don't think he's a good person, so I am going to put Rose in situationship, okay? I feel like he'd be a fun lay, but I don't want to get to know him personally. Peony, on the other hand, is always down for a good time, okay? I love his adventurous spirit. Like, every day is always something new. You know, like, he's here to have fun, and I can honestly respect that, you know? I think I would date Peony, so I'm going to put him in Daddy as well. Now, I don't really find Mustard to be attractive. I don't know, block. I really don't have anything to say about Mustard. Laventon is cute, you know? He's kind of a charming individual. You know, he's from an era before we had sites like gay.com or Grindr. He might be Hisuian trade. I don't know. I really don't know where I want to put him. I think I'll put him in One Night Stand. Yeah. Kamado is cute, you know? I think Kamado is attractive. I feel like he looks abusive. I don't know. Like, I feel like he would abuse you emotionally and physically. I don't know. He just looks kind of scary, to be honest with you. So I'm going to put him in block. I think Benny's cute. Now, would I want to have a fling with Benny though? But I don't think I would want to pursue anything more. So I'm going to put him in friend zone. I feel like you have to compare Ingo and Emmett together. I remember when Legends Arceus first came out, how everyone was head over heels about Ingo. When that picture of Ingo came out, you know, that picture of him without his cap, how he was bald underneath, it kind of seemed like everyone kind of lost their lust over Ingo. But I love old bald men, what can I say? I like Ingo's rugged look. Emmett, on the other hand, I feel like he's too clean cut for my taste. So I probably put Ingo in FWB. Emmett, on the other hand, he seems like a fun lay. I think I put him in One Night Stand. I think Ginter's cute. I like the rugged look that he has going on. He strikes me as like a quiet gay man. You know, someone who doesn't really go out to the bars or to the clubs all that often. Like, I think he'll be a man who would do whatever he can to make you happy, you know? I kind of like that. So I'm going to put Ginter in daddy. I think I would date him, to be honest with you. Turo, let's say this one together now, okay? 1, 2, 3, daddy. You know those kinds of memes where Turo is depicted as like that Chad meme? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? There's a specific image of him that's really doing something for me. I don't know. Like, I don't really find Clavel to be attractive, to be honest with you. But that's just my tea, because he reminds me so much like my grandpa, like my actual grandpa. So I'm gonna put him in the friend zone. But apparently they're another gay couple, so I feel like you gotta rate them together. Brassius and Hassel, I think they're divas. They kind of give me diva energy, to be honest with you. Hassel is very much into art. He's very much into music. And Brassius is an actual artist, right? They are definitely the queer couple that you would see at like art shows or like concerts, at pride festivals. I feel like they would be kind of fun to party with. I feel like they know all of the great spots, but I wouldn't date Hassel or Brassius personally. So I'm going to put both of them in friend zone. Kofu is another one of your bear representations. Now we know how I feel about an older bald man, right? And he's also a chef too, so you know he makes a mean dish. I can see myself having a connection with Kofu. He kind of strikes me as a bartender as well. He kind of looks like he would be a good bartender at those gay bars. I think he would make a mean Long Island iced tea. I know I will have a good time with Kofu. So I think I'll put him in FWB. Saguaro is such a diva. I think there's an interesting conversation to be had about Saguaro because everyone perceives him as masculine, how he looks traditionally masculine, how he has this like machismo kind of vibe to him. And yet when you get to know him personally, he likes more of these sort of feminine, softer kind of things, right? And it's also evident in his Pokemon team too, where his Pokemon are girly pop. Like I said, I feel like there's an interesting conversation to be had about Saguaro and the gender norms that we have in our society, but we're not gonna get into that. Point is, I would date Saguaro. I am going to put him in daddy. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of forgot about Salvatore. I honestly don't remember this man all that much. He looks like he'd be a fun time, so I think I'll put him in One Night Stand. Larry is another controversial opinion of mine because I was never one of those people who found Larry to be attractive. I feel like if I were to message Larry on Grindr, I feel like he would be the type of person who would leave me on red. Actually, he might just leave my messages on delivered. I don't know. I just feel bored when I look at Larry. Maybe that's his appeal. but I just feel bored when I look at him. I just kind of just feel nothing. I feel like he would be a dry texter. So I'm going to put Larry in friend zone, but a very, very weak friend zone. I think he looks kind of goofy. He's definitely the type of older gay man who hangs out with younger men, right? So that way he himself can feel younger again. Now, he's definitely someone who I see continuously sending you messages even after you've made it apparent that you aren't interested in him. I feel like he's very persistent in that regard. So I think I'll put Grand Oak in block. I think you know my opinion on Vinny.
100 dicks and 2 sweet teas.
Rihanna or Christina Aguilera?
Oh, Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera or Doja Cat?
Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera or Cardi B?
Christina Aguilera.
I mean, let's say this one together. 1, 2, 3, daddy. I think Vinny is really cute. I think he's stylish. And when you look at his Pokemon team as well, you know, he has Pokemon like Houndoom and Sharpedo just to kind of give off this sort of like facade. But he also has Pokemon like Lopunny and Drampa on his team as well to show more of his protective, kind of nurturing side to him as well. So I think Vinny would be a great long-term boyfriend. I think Tarragon is really cute, okay? I think he would be into scaffolding than into me personally. He cares for his granddaughter Canary, and I just think that's really admirable of him, right? I am going to put Tarragon in FWB, but if he tries to incorporate scaffolding in the bedroom, I will flip out, okay? So I'm not French, so I'm gonna butcher this man's name. I apologize in advance, but Felipe, I think Felipe is into some raunchy stuff. He is a leather daddy through and through, right? He's definitely someone that I can honestly picture wearing leather chaps, leather harnesses. It might not be so much of a stretch to say that he might be into pup play as well. I don't think I would date Felipe personally though. To me, he kind of looks like a player. He kind of looks like a cheater, someone who's not really serious in a relationship, you know what I mean? So I'm going to put him in One Night Stand. I've never played new Pokemon Snap, so I'm very unfamiliar with Professor Mirror. I think it looks really cute, you know? I think he would be a blast to drink with. Like, I feel like he has a sort of energy to him. Like, he knows he's a daddy. Like, he's embraced that daddy title. Like, he has always dreaded being called a daddy. But once younger men start to call him daddy, he's kind of embracing that, you know? And I think that's really beautiful. So with that, I am going to rank him daddy. I would date him. I think Professor Willow is attractive. He definitely strikes me as someone who exclusively hangs out with younger gay men. I think he's not my tea personally though, so I'm going to put Professor Willow in situationship. Yeah, this makes sense for me. And that is a tier list on which Pokemon DILFs I would date. You know, I think this was a very interesting conversation that you and I had today. I think if there's one thing to take away from this video, is that each Pokemon DILF has his own serve. You know, like each Pokemon DILF adds something to the conversation, and you know, there's something out there for everybody, and I think that's very beautiful. Also, did you notice anything different? I got a green screen. I haven't set it up yet, so my apologies if this looks weird in post. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. If you are going to bed, good night. If you just sneezed, bless you, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!